of course, at the world-famous MGM Grand Hotel and Casino. You know, this venue has played host to so many great events in the sport of boxing. Today and this weekend is no difference. The good news for you is Show Sports Press Pass Live is giving you a front row seat every step of the way. Hello everyone, I'm Brian Custer. We're in the Hollywood Theater inside the MGM Grand, and this is the final press conference for the huge fight between Canelo Alvarez, Alfredo Angulo. Of course, you can see it Saturday night, Showtime pay-per-view. In just a few moments, you're going to hear from all of the fighters on the card, and as soon as the fight card and of course the press conference is over, I'm going to interview Canelo Alvarez and Alfredo Angulo. It is a dynamite card. Take a look.
On March 8th, Showtime pay-per-view brings you a night of boxing loaded with 4 must-see fights. Linares versus Arakawa.
Arakawa unloading. A combination of punches.
Molina versus Charlo.
There's some horsepower being shown by Charlo. And there it is, a lethal left hook.
Santa Cruz versus Mijares.
We are in the midst of a firefight. Santa Cruz tags him with a left hand.
Canelo versus Angulo.
Angulo's a murderous puncher, and oh, there we go. A nice right uppercut by Canelo.
One night, 4 fights, 8 warriors going toe to toe. Don't miss a must-see night of boxing. Linares versus Arakawa. Molina versus Charlo. Santa Cruz versus Mijares. Canelo versus Angulo. Saturday, March 8th, live on pay-per-view.
And of course, you don't want to miss that. One of the guys you will see on that fight card right here, the WBC Super Bantamweight Champion of the world, Leo Santa Cruz. How are you, champ?
I'm doing great. I'm very happy and excited already for it to be Saturday, so I could give the fans a great show and get it over with.
Of course, he's taking on Christian Mijares. And this is going to be an interesting fight between you two because, you know, when you look at Mijares, naturally right-handed, but fights left. And I remember you said in the last time you fought a lefty, gave you some problems. So what do you think? What do you expect against Mijares?
Yeah, of course, lefty gave me said that when I fought him last time in Texas. It was a complicated fight because he lefty and then he was moving, he threw, and he was trying to counterpunch me. But we learned, we got a lot of experience from that fight. So I think it's going to help me a lot in this fight. And then I think Mijares is not as strong or as fast as Seda was. So I think it's going to be a little bit more easier, but we never underestimate nobody. So I think we're going to do what we work in the gym with my dad and my whole team, and hopefully everything goes good and we get the win.
Well, you know, a lot of people love watching you fight, champ, because you're a high-volume puncher. I mean, you throw a lot of punches. Mijares is different. I mean, he likes to grab, he can hold. What kind of fight do you expect out of him?
Yeah, no, I expect him to come and try 1-2 and then move and run. I expect him to be running most of the fight, but we're going to stay on top of him. We're going to try to break him down, work the body, and try to get him tired so that he has no other choice than to stay there and bang with me. So I think we're going to stay on top of the whole fight. And if that's not working, we're going to try to box him a little bit like we did with Seda. But whatever works better, we're going to do that.
How do you like, you know, obviously being on this pay-per-view card here in Vegas at the MGM Grand? What does this fight mean to you?
Oh, it means the world to me. And this was my dream to be on a big card like this, and now to be on undercard and on a pay-per-view. It is one of my dreams come true again. Since I was small, I wish I could be on this card. And now that I'm here, all the work paid off, and I'm really, really excited and happy.
Okay, now I got to talk to you about this big fight in the main event, Canelo Angulo. What do you think? Give the people, what does the champ think? Who's going to win that fight?
Well, I think it's going to be a great, great fight. Both of them come forward, Mexicans. None of them go back. They're both strong, and they both want it. So I think Canelo a lot stronger and faster, so I think he's going to be able to take it. I don't think he's going to go 12 rounds because both of them have knockout power, so I think he's going to finish by knockout.
Now, listen, I know, and boxers always say they never want to overlook anyone, and you certainly don't want to overlook a Mijares. But ultimately, after this fight, what's next for Leo Santa Cruz?
Well, hopefully we get past Saturday, and a lot of people have been talking about Carl Frampton. they wanted me to fight against them. So I think there's a possible fight that could happen after this one.
All right, Leo Santa Cruz, of course, Christian Maharis is going to be on Showtime pay-per-view. You do not want to miss that. Best of luck to you, champ.
Thank you.
All right, of course, we're going to continue on here. And before we get to this press conference, we want to show you some of the sights and sounds that you saw here on Showtime Boxing. Of course, all the sights and sounds that you've seen this past year on Showtime Boxing. And again, we're here at the final press conference. Canelo Alvarez, Alfredo Angulo. You'll see it Saturday night, Showtime pay-per-view, a dynamite card. I want you to take a look at what we got in store for you on Showtime pay-per-view because it is fantastic. Of course, it's headline, Canelo Alvarez, Alfredo Angulo. And one thing that's interesting about this is that you have a fight of this magnitude and you got two guys coming in off of losses. So that's why this fight is so important. You just heard from Leo Santa Cruz. Of course, he's taking on Christian Maharis. That's going to be a great fight. And then you have Jamal Charlo taking on Carlos Molina. So all through this fight card, it is going to be dynamite. And who can forget about Linares taking on Arakawa? That's going to lead everything off. Again, Showtime pay-per-view Saturday night. You certainly do not want to miss that. It is going to be a great night of boxing, and you certainly want to be there. We're getting ready, getting started here for this press conference. We should be starting here in just a few moments. Again, Canelo against Angulo. It's two guys going toe-to-toe, great matchup. And one of the things, something's got to give. When you look at Angulo, 17 of his last 18 wins have come by knockout. Canelo has never been down. Something has to give in this matchup. And again, it comes your way on Showtime pay-per-view. In just a few moments, hey, Richard Schaefer, the CEO of Golden Boy, joining me here now to talk a little bit about this pay-per-view card.
How are you? Good
How are you, sir?
Very well, thank you.
All
Happy
right,
to be here.
Talking to me about toe-to-toe, and we just talked about how interesting this card is because it's unusual. You get a pay-per-view fight of this magnitude. Both guys are coming off of losses.
Yes, but this is really about the entertainment value, toe-to-toe, top to bottom. It's like if you go into a restaurant and you start ordering an appetizer and the appetizer is horrible, the main course is okay. I mean, you're probably not going to go back. So, you want to have an experience top to bottom, and that's what we like to do at Golden Boy, top to bottom, great entertaining shows. Toe-to-toe, great main event, it's where it starts, but all the fights on the card are really toe-to-toe action. Now with Angulo, I have to tell you, having been now in Vegas for 2 days, more and more people are starting to pick Alfredo Angulo to knock Alvarez out. So there seems to be some sort of shift in momentum in favor of Angulo. You're going to see at the press conference, Angulo is in unbelievable shape. I mean, mentally and physically. And I think an extremely dangerous opponent for Canelo because he has nothing to lose.
Yes.
And those guys who have nothing to lose are the most dangerous ones.
And and Angulo, of course, coming off that loss against Lara. But again, this is probably the biggest guy and the biggest puncher I think that Canelo has fought in his career.
Well, when you saw actually the Angulo-Lara fight, not too many people gave Angulo a chance because they felt that he is going to be outboxed by Lara. But he was able to neutralize Lara's boxing skills. And as a matter of fact, at the time of the stoppage, Lara was ahead on all cards, was able to drop for the first time at Islandi Lara. So we know he has a punch, but we know now after the Lara fight that Angulo can adjust to a boxer as well. And so it's going to be interesting to see what strategy is Canelo going to bring.
You know, one thing that you hit on, and again, when you look at this fight card from top to bottom, it's just great card. I mean, the Linares-Arakawa fight could be a main event on another fight card. But then, you know, we've heard some rumblings here about with Molina taking on Charlo. What's going on with Molina?
Well, yes. The benefit is when you have these deep cards, even the non-televised portion and the fights which are going to be shown on Showtime Extreme, the earlier fights, you have the benefit of if there's something happens, you can move them up. And with Molina, there are some issues. He was here for the arrival on Monday, and then was unfortunately served with 2 warrants which were out for his arrest. Was put in jail, was released early this morning on bail, but then is back in jail now again, facing immigration issues. So it's sort of like a very fluid situation right now. Don't really know if he's going to make it or not. His promoter, Leon Margulis from Warriors Boxing, is telling us he will. I guess we're going to find out tomorrow or later on today what the latest is. But I have to tell you, if the fight would not happen with Charlo fighting for the world title against Molina, what we would do is we would move up Ricardo Alvarez, Canelo's older brother, fighting Thompson, which would be Yeo Thompson, which would be a Fight of the Year candidate, I can tell you right now. So from a pure entertainment value, actually, it actually would be an upgrade. Yeah. And I'm not saying that because of Charlo, by the way.
Right, absolutely. Of course, he's the CEO of Golden Boy, Richard Schaefer here. And, of course, Floyd Mayweather just announced, too, that he's going to be here May 3rd, correct?
Yes, absolutely. We'll see. We might do something here at the MGM with Floyd on Saturday. I was planning to have Marcos Maidana here as well, flying in from Argentina. But I was just told a few minutes ago that Maidana is still in Argentina and is getting ready for the birth of his first child, and of course wants to be there with his wife, and that could happen any day. So I anticipate Matisse not to be here, and not Matisse, Maidana not to be here for this weekend, but probably arriving next week. But we still might do something with Floyd on Saturday.
Fantastic, and of course I know you're going to lead this press conference, so I want to let you get to that.
Thank
we
you.
appreciate the
All
time,
right.
Richard
Thank you
Schaefer.
very much.
So again, Show Sports Press Pass Live. We're the place here for all the latest. You hear there's some issues with Carlos Molina. He was detained here. Still don't know whether or not he will even fight now on Saturday. So then it looks like Canelo's older brother will be then moved up on the card. You heard from the champ, Leo Santa Cruz. He talked about his big fight with Christian Maharis. Well, you got to talk to his opponent now. Let's give equal time. That's what we do here on Show Sports Press Pass Live. Look at this in the flesh. Christian Maharis joins us here, and we talk with Eric Gomez, a Golden Boy here, can translate. We just talked with Leo Santa Cruz. He says he expects a high-volume fight. He's going to deliver a lot of punches. He doesn't think you punch a lot, and that's why he's going to be victorious. Give me your thoughts on what you expect then Saturday night.
Acaban de hablar con Leo Santa Cruz, el campeón, y él dice que se espera una pelea de muchos golpes, de mucho volumen de golpes, y él dice que tú quizás no tiras tantos, pero él va a esperar tirar muchos golpes. ¿Tú qué crees?
No, yo creo que sí, así lo esperamos a un Leo Santa Cruz que va a venir hacia enfrente buscándome tirar muchos golpes, pero traigo mucha experiencia, traigo mucha inteligencia así, arriba del ring. No me va a dar muchos de los que me va a tirar, al contrario, lo vamos a contragolpear y vamos a manejarlo inteligentemente.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's right. You know, I know the style he has, and he's a high volume puncher. He's going to come at me through a lot of punches, be very aggressive, but I got the experience. And I know he's going to be missing a lot of those punches. So we'll see what's going to happen, but you know, it'll be a good fight.
He's undefeated. Give me your thoughts. How big of a fight is this for you?
Qué grande de pelea es para ti.
Hombre, ahorita lo estoy considerando la pelea más difícil de mi carrera. ¿Por qué? Porque estoy al regreso para ser campeón del mundo otra vez y porque me enfrento a un excelente peleador como lo es Leo Santa Cruz, a un invicto, que primeramente Dios, a los invictos también les toca perder y hoy le toca perder a él.
Yes, he says, you know, I consider this probably the most, you know, the most important fight of my career, probably the most dangerous. But you know what, though, you know, he's undefeated, he's a good fighter, and hey, even God will tell you that even undefeated fighters have to lose sometime.
You know, one thing I thought it was interesting, in his last fight, he had a problem with lefties, and he talked about that. Fighting a southpaw gave him some issues. You're naturally right-handed, but fight left-handed. Do you use that as your advantage going into this fight?
Es una ventaja ser zurdo. En la última pelea tuvo problemas con zurdos.
Sí, ya lo checamos, ya nos dimos cuenta de que se le dificultan los peleadores zurdos y los peleadores que se mueven sobre el ring, ¿no? Traemos esa ventaja, te digo, no hay que confiarnos nada más, hay que trabajar muy inteligentemente, con mucha experiencia, mucha tranquilidad y primeramente Dios, el sábado voy a ser campeón del mundo.
Yeah, definitely. I did my homework. You know, we researched it, we looked into it, we studied him. We know that, you know, he's got some problems with lefties, and it's a big advantage for me. And hopefully on Saturday, I'm going to prove it.
So what can fans expect out of Christian Mijares Saturday night?
¿Qué puede la afición que puede esperar de ti el sábado?
Una guerra, soy un guerrero, una guerra que vamos a tener tanto Leo como yo, ya lo pronosticamos, ya dijimos que vamos a tener una guerra del ring, que vamos a ganar, queremos ganar los dos, así es que la que va a salir ganando la gente, porque dos mexicanos arriba de un ring siempre es garantía.
It's going to be a war. It's going to be a war. We both talked about it. We both said it. We guaranteed it. And the fans are the ones that are going to win. When you have two Mexicans getting in there, two warriors getting in there, it's going to be a great fight.
Certainly can't let you go without getting a prediction. Canelo Angulo, what do you think is going to happen? Who's going to win?
La pelea estelar, una predicción.
Canelo. Gana Canelo.
Canelo. I think Canelo's going to win.
And why?
Canelo y Mijares.
Canelo y Mijares. ¿Pero por qué? ¿Por qué Canelo?
Yo creo que gana Canelo. Yo creo que tiene la juventud, tiene todas las ganas, trae todo, ¿no? Yo creo que está un poquito lastimado ya a Angulo. Lo siento que está un poquito lastimado. Yo creo que si lo prende Canelo se va a ir.
You know, I think that Canelo, he's got all the advantages. He's younger, he's hungry. He's got all the qualities to be able to beat him. And I think that, you know, Angulo's been in some wars already, you know, so maybe, you know, he's not at his peak anymore. So I think that it should be a good fight for Canelo, and he could probably even knock him out.
Nice. Gracias por su tiempo. Buena suerte.
Thank you very much.
I said basically thank you for your time. Good luck. I've learned Spanish, folks, here. That's what we do on Show Sports First Time Live. Thank you, champ. I appreciate it. Eric, thank you very much. All right, joining me now here, the president here of Showtime Sports, also my boss, so you got to give him a lot of airtime, the one and only Steven Espinoza. Hey, we just talked with Richard Schaefer. You know, the one thing I think that a lot of fight fans, and when I go out, they say they love, is that when they put on, and I'm talking about Showtime, put on fights, they're good from top to bottom. Usually they're top heavy. But it seems like on Showtime, you've gone in a direction is the undercard's great, all the way through, all the way to the main event. Tell me why.
It's definitely been a strategy, partly to give value, but really I think it's more really for the health of the sport. It's a long-term investment in the sport. Richard and I got together early on, you know, and I communicated to him that when a fighter loses, he doesn't lose value. I mean, there's some within the sport, and we've gotten into a bad habit of, I think, overvaluing undefeated fighters. So I know Richard as a promoter and the fighters that we work with, when they know that the network's not going to abandon them after one loss or two losses, then they're not as hesitant to take those tough fights. And if we look at the streak that we've been on the last 6-8 months, the last year, it's almost like it fed upon itself. You know, we got one fight, and we had a bunch of our boxers there watching. And then the next week, it seemed like the guys were trying to outdo them. You know, and by the end of the year, it was just monster card after monster card, and it was just a really special year.
And so tell me, what went into the thinking when you guys helped put this fight together, especially when you look at Canelo, you look at Angulo. Canelo's got just one fight, but it seems like it's an important fight for Canelo, especially if he wants to keep, let's say, that superstar status. Angulo, an important fight for him as well. It seems like both of these guys have answers, questions to answer here in this fight.
Well, what we try to do with most cards, we can't do it with every card, but whether it's a pay-per-view or a Showtime Championship boxing event, is we try to come up with a theme. You know, for a past pay-per-view, a couple pay-per-views, we've done Knockout Kings, and we really emphasize guys with big power. Or sometimes we'll do an entire card of welterweights or super welterweights. For this card, it was all about action fighters. And so we said top to bottom, we really want everyone here to be an action fighter. And, you know, that's the case certainly with Canelo Angulo. It's certainly the case with Leo Santa Cruz, with Christian Mijares. I mean, top to bottom, when we had, you know, unfortunately Omar Figueroa is not on the card anymore, but he certainly fits the definition of an action fighter. So going forward, we think, you know, it's a fun thing to do, and it helps people understand the event and the appeal of the event if we sort of build it around a theme. You know, and this theme was toe-to-toe action.
All right. Of course, he is the president of Showtime Sports, Stephen Espinosa. Let me just say you're doing a fine job. And I'm not even saying that because you're my boss. I just wanted to say you're doing a fine job. All right. If you just looked over my shoulder, you see Alfredo Angulo, Canelo Alvarez. Both of these guys have just walked inside here to the Hollywood Theater. So you know what? Let's get this press conference started. Let me send it over to the CEO of Golden Boy, Richard Schaefer.
Go ahead, Richard.
All right, thank you all for coming here. It's a pleasure for me to conduct the press conference here, the final press conference for toe-to-toe, top to bottom, certainly one of the most entertaining cards we have ever put together at the Golden Boy. Obviously, the much anticipated return of Canelo Alvarez in a real fight against a real guy, a big puncher, a hungry guy, Alfredo Angulo, with Leo Santa Cruz and Christian Mijares, Carlos Molina and Jermell Charlo, Jorge Linares and Nihito Arakawa, and of course as well Ricardo Alvarez and Sergio Thompson on the opening bout on Showtime Extreme. I'd like to thank our sponsors for all the work and the activation. Corona Extra, la cerveza más fina, has really become the brand when it comes to beer in the sport of boxing. Multiple platforms, they're really everywhere, so I thank them very much for activating across the nation in all of their retail locations. I'd like to thank AT&T, who has become a staple in Golden Boy events. I'd like to thank as well Casamigos Tequila. Their slogan is brought to you by those who drink it, and I can tell you it tastes very good. So great tequila. I can only encourage you to go and have a sip. Tickets are still on sale. There are only a few hundred tickets left, so we do anticipate a complete sellout. The venue is scaled a little over 14,000, so we will have a big crowd here on Saturday night at the MGM Grand Garden. It's going to be broadcasted as well in all the movie theaters, 400 selected movie theaters across the nation. So please let your people know as well that if they cannot be live here at the MGM or watch it live on Showtime pay-per-view, that this fight is available on the big screen as well in over 400 movie theaters, I think in all about 600 screens, through our partnership with Phantom Events. If you want to see which venues, which movie theaters it is, it's www.phantomevents.com, F-A-T-H-O-M events.com. This press conference is currently streamed live through Showtime Sports, Press Pass Live via satellite, showtime.com sports, and YouTube as well, the Showtime YouTube channel, and all the fans of Golden Boy through www.goldenboypromotions.com as well. Before I'm going to be introducing some of the people up here on the dais, I'd like to acknowledge Dr. Charles Bernick, the Associate Medical Director of the Cleveland Clinic Lou Ruva Center for Brain Health. We applaud you as the boxing fraternity, so to speak, for the work you guys are doing at the Cleveland Clinic. Some of you might know that it was recently announced that the 4 leading promotional entities in the contact sports have come together. I'm talking about UFC, Bellator-Viacom, Golden Boy, and Top Rank. And yes, actually, it's true, Golden Boy and Top Rank did see eye to eye on that one. So there is some hope. And we are proud as a group to support the important work the Cleveland Clinic is doing. Thank you. Yes, I think you can applaud to that. Now, to be here at the MGM Grand, I'm sure some of you might have seen the recent newspaper stories and reports with some of my quotes, and I'm going to say it again. I think if they would have to build the perfect venue for pay-per-view, it would be the MGM. Pay-per-view revenues for a pay-per-view show are the single most important revenue stream. There is no other venue which is so conducive to hosting big fights, big events like the MGM Garden and of course the MGM Hotel with all the great restaurants on property. And you guys, members from the media, are being fed here, being treated well, have great rooms and everything. So I think I'm speaking on behalf of all of us in this room. A big thank you to the president of MGM Sports and Entertainment, my good friend Richard Stern. Please, Richard.
Thank you. Thanks, Richard. Good afternoon to the media, the fighters, the fans, and our partners at Golden Boy Promotions and Showtime Pay-Per-View. This weekend is a tremendous kickoff to the spring calendar of championship fighting at MGM Grand, and we're scheduled for 3 major boxing events at the Grand Garden Arena between now and May 3rd. It is a pleasure to welcome back Canelo Alvarez to MGM Grand as he returns for the first time in less than 6 months. Canelo is a great champion, and MGM Grand is home of the champions, so we know the fans are looking forward to seeing him back in the ring. We'd also like to give a warm Las Vegas welcome to Alfredo Angulo, as he will be making his Las Vegas and MGM Grand debut. As most of you know who have watched Angulo fight, he always brings a lot of energy and punching power into the ring, and we know he will provide the fans with a great fight on Saturday night. We'd also like to give a special thanks to Oscar De La Hoya, Richard Schaefer, and the entire Golden Boy promotion staff, Team Alvarez and Team Angulo, Stephen Espinoza of Showtime Sports, and of course the Nevada State Athletic Commission. Once again, thanks for being here, and look forward to seeing you Saturday night for this great event. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. And of course, being in Vegas means as well that the fights are under the auspices of the great Nevada State Athletic Commission. I was sad to see my friend Keith Kaiser leave. I think he did a terrific job, and I will miss him. But I know that the search is on to find the proper replacement, and the Nevada Athletic Commission is under the guidance now of the chairman of the Nevada State Athletic Commission, and I think it's the first time, at least that I can remember, that we actually had the chairman of the Nevada State Athletic Commission at a pre-fight press conference. And I think what that shows is it shows the commitment of the commission to the sport of boxing, the importance they give to the sport of boxing, but it shows as well the passion of the chairman, who I have known for quite a while. He's really passionate, he's a fan, he's supportive of the sport of boxing, and it's a pleasure and an honor for me to introduce to you now the president, the chairman of the Nevada State Athletic Commission, Francisco Aguilar.
Good afternoon. Thank you for being here. As always, we're excited to have our first fight in Nevada, be at the MGM, be hosted by Golden Boy. We look forward to it, and I know I'm the least interesting person here, so I'll let you move on with the press conference. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Cisco. The next guy up is going to be the president of Showtime Sports, who really, I hate to repeat it, but it's true, has done a terrific job, continues to do a terrific job bringing the biggest and best fights to Showtime and the different Showtime platforms, no exception here. I'm proud to be working with Steven on this pay-per-view. Showtime has shown last year that they can deliver on pay-per-view at the very, very highest level, breaking the all-time revenue records in the history of boxing for a pay-per-view with the Canelo and Mayweather fight. So it's a pleasure now for me to introduce to you the president of Showtime Sports, Steven Espinoza.
Thank you, Richard. Over the last year, Showtime and Showtime Pay-Per-View have become the premier destination for big-time boxing. Showtime is giving boxing fans more live boxing, more replays of classic fights, more total hours of boxing program than anyone else in the sport. And we've done it with state-of-the-art technology like 4K cameras and super slow-mo and social media integration and on the things that our competitors aren't doing. And the audience and the viewers have responded enthusiastically. as our audience share has grown by leaps and bounds. And really, the secret of our success is really simple. It's two things. First, we work with first-class partners, and this event is no exception. MGM Grand and Golden Boy are first-class partners. With Golden Boy, Richard Schaefer has established himself as the premier promoter in the sport of boxing today, the deepest talent pool, the biggest stars, and the best young prospects. Most importantly, he's been committed to the sport, as we've seen over the last year, to giving the sport the most exciting fights possible. So I must thank Richard for his commitment to the future of the sport. Also committed to the sport is Richard Sturm and the MGM Grand. For decades, the MGM Grand has hosted some of the biggest fights in the history of the sport. We're very excited to be here again on this beautiful property, and Richard, I have to thank you and your team for your commitment to this sport and all that the MGM has done to grow the sport. Second factor in our success, and perhaps the most important, is the quality of the fights. Simply put, we put on great fights, exciting fights, competitive fights, even matchups. This card's a great example. When Richard and I got together to discuss this, we soon came upon a theme. We'd like to give all of our cards themes. Some of them work, some of them don't. This one works extremely well. Toe-to-toe was the theme, and we were going to fill this card with action fighters from when the doors opened until the end of the night. And that's exactly what we've done. We are guaranteed to get your money's worth when you have action fighters like Canelo Alvarez and Alfredo Angulo and Jorge Linares, and on and on and on, top to bottom of the card. All these fighters come to fight, they come to entertain, and for that I must thank them as well. One last reminder, obviously the pay-per-view starts at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. We'll be going live on Showtime with our pre-fight show, Countdown Live. That's at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. We'll see you then.
Thank you, Stephen, and I agree with you, total toe-to-toe action from top to bottom. As a matter of fact, even with the early fights, that's what we wanted our matchmakers to do, just great entertainment. And so I urge you to be there early, and I know some of you have already told me that this is the kind of card they want to be there early when the doors open. And I'm just going to quickly mention to you some of the fights which will be shown earlier before we go live on the pay-per-view. The opening the night is Steve Lovett, 7-0 with 5 knockouts of New South Wales. He is going to be fighting in the light heavyweight division. A very exciting fighter, big puncher, so I'm looking forward to seeing him. Then next up is Keandre Gibson, 8-0 with 3 KOs of St. Louis, Missouri. He will be facing Antonio Wong with 11-7-1 of Tijuana, Mexico, and in a 6-round junior welterweight fight. Then you sure don't want to miss that one. I'm very excited about this fight. I'm very excited about this fighter, the way he fights, the way he handles himself, the personality he has outside of the ring as well, how he's connecting with fans and with people. And that is Jojo Diaz, the 2012 U.S. Olympian of South El Monte, California. He will face Giovanni Fuentes of Bayamon, Puerto Rico. Now, I want to make a quick comment here. I was watching last weekend another Olympian fighting for a world title in his supposedly second fight, and it was advertised everywhere as his second fight. I have no problem with that because I do believe it was his second fight. But then what I ask you, members of the media, let's be consistent. Let's be consistent with that, and what I mean is Jojo Diaz's record, if we want to be consistent and use the same thing you guys use for Lomachenko, his record is 8-0, and the fights which these young fighters, and I'm not just talking about Lomachenko or Jojo Diaz, I'm talking about all of the fighters which had participated in the World Series of Boxing, that the fights they did in the World Series of Boxing should not count as part of their professional record. And so in my books and in your books, and I think whoever else are the official bookkeepers of these, Fight Facts, they should please adjust that and reflect those records properly in Jojo Diaz's case as 8-0. Thank you. Then next up is another Olympian, 2008 Mexican Olympian, who is making quickly a big name for himself, makes a lot of noise, very exciting fighter, 18-0 with 13 knockouts of Mexico City, and that is Francisco Vargas. People are coming to see him. He's building up a fan following, so really excited to have him at the card. And he is going to be in a real test, in his biggest test so far, against Abner Cotto, 17-1 with 8 knockouts of Caguas, Puerto Rico, which will be a 10-round junior lightweight bout. So you can see, I mean, these are fights which are being shown here on the non-televised portion. I mean, on other networks, they probably would be main events. One of the Golden Boy Promotions' newest addition, Will Tomlinson from Blacktown, Australia, with a record of 21-0 with 12 knockouts. He is going to be on the card as well and making his U.S. debut here against Jerry Belmontes with 18-3 of Corpus Christi. I think you guys will like Will Tomlinson, terrific fighter, action-packed, the kind of fighters we like. The kind of fighters who know how to entertain the crowds. So make sure you're going to be there early. Now, first up is going to be on the Showtime Extreme portion of the card is going to be a great showdown. Sergio Yeo Thompson against Ricardo Alvarez, the older brother of Saul Alvarez. Talking about toe-to-toe action, that fight here between those two guys might actually be the best fight all in the entire night. So make sure you're going to be there because this is entertainment at its best. These are two guys which come to fight, a lot of heart, a lot of pride, so you want to be there when they are going to enter the ring. Thompson has a record of 28-3. He won in 14 of his last 15 fights, winning all 14 by knockout, by the way. And so he is ready to go. He's excited to be in this fight. And of course, Ricardo Alvarez from Guadalajara, Jalisco, Mexico. He has a record of 23-2-3. He made his U.S. debut down in San Antonio last December on the Broner Maidana card, where he beat Rod Salka. He is very excited to be back here, to be fighting here in the fight capital of the world on the card, which is headlined by his younger brother, Canelo. And he was first scheduled to fight Omar Figueroa for the world title. We believe that Ricardo Alvarez is ready to fight for the world title, but he has to do a little detour here because Omar Figueroa injured his hands and had to pull off the card. But I think with Sergio Thompson, Yeo Thompson, he is going to fight somebody who is going to bring it all. And as Chris de Blasio, the head of PR from Showtime, told me, he said, "Ooh, somebody with the name of Yeo, you know, you have to be worried. I wouldn't want to fight him." And but Ricardo will, and it's a pleasure now for me to introduce to you Ricardo Alvarez.
Muy buenas tardes a todos. Pues aquí nosotros ya estamos listos para la pelea. Como ya lo saben, pues se cayó la pelea con Omar Figueroa, pero estoy listo para la pelea que venga.
Good afternoon to everybody, and happy to be here. And I'm ready to fight. As you guys know, the fight fell out with Omar Figueroa, but I'm still here, I'm ready to fight.
Pues ya sabemos que en el boxeo estas cosas pasan y pues hay que seguir adelante. Ahora se cambió el rival, pero estoy contento de estar en la cartelera y sé que voy a dar una gran pelea y voy a levantar grandes emociones.
We all know that these things happen in boxing. There's accidents, they happen. But I'm very happy to be here. I'm very happy to be in this big stage, to be fighting here. And I'm ready to go, I'm ready to fight.
Muchas gracias a todos.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So opening up the pay-per-view portion of the event, I mentioned before, Omar Figueroa was the fighter who fought Omar last year in 2013, Fight of the Year candidate. Some of you actually scored it as the fight of the year. It was an unbelievable fight, and that was Nihito Arakawa against Omar Figueroa. Arakawa, with a record of 24-3-1 of Musashino, Japan, is a 32-year-old all-action fighter. I mean, must-see TV. I can't wait to see this guy. I mean, if I could see him every night, sign me up. He really is a very, very exciting fighter, tremendous heart, gives it his all, had to overcome 2 knockdowns in that fight, fought to exhaustion, and just really demonstrated what heart and the definition of modern-day gladiator is, and that is Nihito Arakawa. It is really an honor for me to ask him up to the podium now and say a few words. Please welcome Arakawa.
皆さんこんにちは。まず一言、謝らなきゃいけないんですが、今回の試合に際して、ボクシングのトレーニングは、十分に積んできたんですが、スピーチに際する、イングリッシュの方は全く、ノースタディだったので大変申し訳ありませんが、通訳を介して会話させていただきたいと思います。
Hello everyone. I prepared myself very well for the fight, but unfortunately, English-wise, I'm limited, so I would like to address you all through an interpreter.
まず、去年から引き続いて、2度もこれほどの大きなチャンスをいただけて、ゴールデンボーイプロモーション、帝拳プロモーションには本当に感謝の意を表したいと思います。
First of all, I would like to thank Golden Boy Promotions, as of starting last year, has given me these opportunities.
自分自身は、今回出場する選手の中で、実績は少ないかもしれないですが、自分が、この舞台に立てる、役目を、担うために、100% 最後まで、勝利に対して、全力で向かいたいと思います。
I may not have the most experienced record on this card, but I can assure you that I will give my 100% to win the fight.
あさっては、ぜひ楽しみにしていてください。よろしくお願いします。
Please look forward to day after tomorrow, and I look forward to having a great fight. Thank you.
Yeah, we're all looking forward too. The guy he's fighting, talking about action fighters, beautiful to watch. The style and everything is a former two-time world champion, WBC featherweight champion, WBA super featherweight world champion with a record of 35-3. He has 4 consecutive victories, including 3 knockouts. He's ready to re-enter here the biggest stage of the sport, being part of a pay-per-view. I think he's one of the most talented fighters. It's a pleasure now for me to introduce to you Jorge Linares.
Primero que nada, buenas tardes a todos los medios, a todas las personas que están aquí presentes. Y bueno, contento nuevamente, ya mucha gente sabe de mí y sabe de mi boxeo y ahora pues agradecido por esta gran oportunidad que me acaba de dar Golden Boy y el Showtime, mi manager Akihito Honda.
First of all, good afternoon, and what can I say? I'm very happy to be here. Thank you to the media, all the fans that are here. I'm very grateful for this opportunity once again, Golden Boy, Showtime, for this great opportunity, my manager.
Ahora el compromiso aumenta, ya que es un rival bastante fuerte. Arakawa es bastante fuerte, siempre viene hacia adelante, ¿no? Bastante agresivo. Y el compromiso ahora se duplicó porque ahora vamos a pelear en pay-per-view, así que la oportunidad es más grande, así que estamos bastante preparados para esto. Llevamos bastante tiempo preparándonos para una pelea grande y título mundial.
This is going to be an important fight. It's going to be a very, very tough fight. Obviously, my opponent's a very, very tough fighter. the big stage. It's on pay-per-view, so I'm ready for this. I'm ready for this. It's going to be a tough challenge, but that's what it's all about.
Bueno, los veo el sábado. Gracias por todo. Y honten ni minasan domo arigato. Mata doyopite tanoshimi kudasai.
He said, thank you very much. Thank you. See you Saturday night, and he can't wait to eat. Thank you.
All right. Next up is IBF World Championship at the 154-pound weight class between world champion Carlos Molina and challenger Jermall Charlo. I want to make some comments related to that fight. Obviously, we see that Carlos Molina is not here. Jermall Charlo is. There are some issues which Carlos Molina is facing related to some outstanding warrants. His legal team and his promoter, Leon Margulies from Warriors Boxing, are currently working on trying to sort these issues out and have him ready, hopefully, for the weigh-in and ultimately for the fight. I know that Molina wants to fight, and I know he has a team behind him which is going to try to do whatever they can to get him here in time to be on the card. In case, just for the pay-per-view audience to know and for your readers to know as well, in case, and I do hope it's not going to come to that, the fight does not happen, then we would, of course, and that's the beauty when you have these deep cards, which I mentioned in the beginning, we have the luxury of moving up Ricardo Alvarez against Yeo Thompson to the pay-per-view card. And I have to tell you, from a pure entertainment point of view, it probably would be an upgrade to the pay-per-view card. And I'm not saying that because of Charlo, by the way, okay? So we're going to leave it at that. But of course, I hope that fight is going to happen. It's a much anticipated fight. Jermall Charlo of Houston, Texas, has been working hard on getting to this point. He is undefeated, 17-0, as exciting as they come, 13 knockouts. Really happy for him to have that title shot. And I think, what he goes through here, so like waiting if his opponent is going to show up or not, obviously is for a young fighter, a lot to deal with. But I talked to Jermall. He is cool, calm, collected. He knows to stay focused. He knows to stay in shape. And for all purpose sake, this fight is on until stated further. And Charlo knows that. He has a 23-year-old twin brother as well. And we're really proud to be able to promote both of the Charlo brothers from Houston. I think both brothers have a terrific future. But for now, I do hope that Jermall Charlo is getting his dream fulfilled to be fighting for his first world title on Saturday night here, part of the Canelo card from the MGM. Please welcome now Jermall Charlo.
First off, I just want to thank God for giving me this opportunity, I'm 17-0, I'm 23 years old right now, and fighting on this stage at the MGM Grand, it's like, I feel like I belong in there with Canelo and all the other young fighters. I also want to thank my team, Ronnie Shields, Danny Arnold, everyone who kept me, calm and not under pressure this whole camp. This was like the best camp here in Houston for me, the whole city behind me. Everybody wants me to win the IBF, and with Carlos Molina not being here, it almost feels like, not that I fell short of my goal, but I'm just waiting now. I'm more anxious than weighing in, and but Aldo said, camp was great. I'm focused. I'm already on weight. I've been on weight for like a month now due to my team, Danny Arnold, and everybody at Plex. So regardless, I'm gonna continue to fight. I'm gonna continue to train hard. I'm gonna continue to be the twin brother to my brother, and we're gonna rise to the top regardless. Y'all will see me soon.
Thank you very much. Next up, I mean, I know it keeps on going. I mean, it's just amazing, all these great fights. And I said before that this one might be stealing the night, but I have to correct myself. I think that fight now actually might steal the night. And that is Leo Santa Cruz against Christian Mijares. Talking about warriors, toe-to-toe action, I mean, it doesn't get better than that. Leo Santa Cruz, I think, is many fight fans' favorite fighter, and Christian Mijares, with a record of 48-7, is always ready. He's a former 3-time world champion, so he knows how to win, he knows how to perform at the highest stage, and he wants that world title again. He is 32 years old. He's 14-1 in his last 15 fights. His only defeat came on a 12-round split decision against Victor Terrazas. He's been waiting for the moment to challenge for the world title again. It is a pleasure now for me to introduce to you Christian Mijares.
¿Qué tal? Buenas tardes. Pues ya no hay mucho que decir. ¿Te dejo hablar?
Sí.
Okay.
Good afternoon. Well, there's not too much to say.
Ya se llegó el tiempo, se llegó la hora. Ya lo pronosticamos Leo y yo que vamos a dar una guerra, así es que este sábado, primeramente Dios, vengo a mostrarme y quiero ser campeón del mundo y vengo a lograrlo primero Dios ante una guerra, ante un gran campeón como Leo Santa Cruz.
What can I say? The time is upon us, and like Leo and I have been saying, we've been telling you guys, promising you guys it's going to be a war, and that's what it's going to be. It's going to be a war on Saturday night. It's going to be a good fight.
Y ya no hay nada más que decir, solamente esperar la hora. Primero mañana el pesaje. ¿Cómo andas en el peso, Leo? ¿Bien? ¿Bien? Bien, compadre, perfecto. Muy bien. Y esperar la hora nada más del combate, ¿no? Ya estamos listos. Muchas gracias a todos.
So it's time. Just waiting for the weigh-in. Leo, how are you on weight? He's good. Okay, good. We're ready for the weight and, ready to fight. Thank you.
Well, he's a clown, too. So... Talking about Leo Santa Cruz, man, this guy is just like amazing. Biggest volume puncher in the sport, always exciting, always comes to fight. And as I have said so many times, and I never get tired about it, just really one of the nicest guys outside of the ring as well. Polite, kind, caring, just an amazing person. And it is really an honor for me to be able to work for Leo Santa Cruz. I think he has a bright future ahead of him. Many more challenges are awaiting him, but he knows that this Saturday night he is in a real fight, maybe the toughest fight of his career. He's well prepared, and it's a pleasure for me now to introduce to you Leo Terremoto Santa Cruz.
Bueno, muy buenas tardes a todos. Good afternoon to everybody. I'm not that good at talking, as you guys all know. I don't really talk that much or stuff, but I just want to take this time to thank all the people that has helped me and got me to this place right now, to be at this level. First, I want to thank all the fans. I want to thank all the media, the reporters, all the writers that have helped me. I want to thank my family, my dad, my mom, my brothers, my sister, and my girlfriend. Because they've always been there for me, helping me since I was a nobody. And I want to thank Showtime, Stephen Espinosa, Golden Boy, the whole Golden Boy team, whole Al Hemming team, and my whole team that has been helping me there run, and when I go running, and everybody. And I know I'm forgetting a lot of people, but right now I'm just nervous, and I can't think so much. but I saved the last for, the best for last. I want to thank my manager, Al Heyman. He's not only there for me as a manager, but he's always been there for me like a family. He has helped me in everything I needed. There's no day that he tells me no. The only time he tells me no is when I want to pay something back or something. He tells me no, you can't pay me right now until I tell you when. And that's the only. But for anything else, I ask him for tickets, anything, he always tells me yes. So I was very happy with him, and I think I was thinking about, I had never heard that there was been an award for manager of the year or manager of all time. So if I was doing that, I'll give him an award for being the best manager that there is, because he doesn't help all his fighters as a business. He helps them as a family, and he's helped me so much that I have no other way that to thank him. That if the one that gives the fighter of the year or fight of the year or trainer of the year, they should give him a word for manager of all time or manager of the year too. So I just want to say that, and thank you very much. Thank you. Oh, and about the fight, I just want to I want to say that I'm ready. I'm really excited to be in this undercard because it's my first pay-per-view, and to be at the co-main event, I'm just very happy and excited. But I owe to other people that I have named. I saw thanks to them. They're the one that got me to this place. I just come 100% ready because I know Mijares. He's a great fighter. I saw him fighting as I was growing up, and I was getting my career started. So I know this is gonna be the hardest fight of my career, but that's why we train really hard to give a great fight to all the fans and to just make the fight of the night, like they're saying. But it's gonna be really hard because Canelo and Pero, they're really great fighters. So I think we're gonna have to work really hard to beat them, because to beat them is gonna be really hard. But we're gonna try our best, and we're gonna give all our fans a great fight. Thank you. Yeah.
Well said. Very well said, and actually, Leo, I definitely want to echo your comments. I don't think he gets enough recognition outside of the ring. In the ring, all the fighters always thank him, and that is Al Heyman. In my professional life, as a banker first, as a promoter now, as a family man, as a friend, I have never met anybody in my life who is like Al Heyman, and I want to thank him as well for everything he does for all the fighters and for the sport of boxing. Now, there is such thing as an award for the manager of the year, which is a very recognized award by the Boxing Writers Association of America, which is voted by all these people here. So I don't think you need to convince them too hard, because they did vote Al Heyman as the manager of the year. And I do believe that the convention or the awards dinner is going to be the week of the Mayweather fight here in Las Vegas at the MGM. So I think you should actually present the award to Al. But that is not up to me. So anyway, let's go move on now to what we came for, which is really the culmination of a great night of boxing, toe-to-toe action, and that is Alfredo Angulo and Canelo Alvarez. I don't need to really tell you the accomplishment of either one of those guys, because these are two of the most recognized names in the sport of boxing today. But what I noticed, what is interesting, when I arrived here, when I last week made some calls and asked around, pretty much everybody picked Canelo to win this fight. It was pretty much a landslide. And what I've noticed in the last 24 hours, there seems to be a shift going on. More and more fighters, trainers, and media members are starting to say, you know what, I'm changing my opinion. I think Angulo is going to knock Canelo out. And I think it is this kind of sentiments which shows you what we want to do is we want to put together great fights. Of course, each one of those guys wants to win. They're very determined. They want to win for themselves. They know how important the win is. They want to win for their fans. And I'm sure they want to win for Mexico as well. So both of those guys don't need any additional motivation. Both of those guys know that it is a very dangerous fight, and they know how good their respective opponents are. When you look at Angulo, I like to acknowledge and introduce some of his team members. First of all, Michael Miller, who is Alfredo Angulo's manager and legal advisor as well, and has been very instrumental in his career. He's a terrific guy. Please welcome Michael Miller. You want to say a few words? Yeah, come on. Might as well.
I just want to say that it's been a pleasure the last couple of years of representing Alfredo. He's overcome a lot of adversity, and I couldn't be prouder of him. He's got a great team behind him. Golden Boy has really stood behind him, and I want to thank them personally. Also want to thank Steven Espinosa and the Showtime crew. They're next to nothing. They're above all, and thanks for all you guys do for boxing in general. I want to thank the MGM for hosting this. Richard was right. There's not a better place to have a show like this. This fight on Saturday is a recipe for, just like the sign says behind me, toe-to-toe. These are the kind of fights that trilogies are made of, almost like the Gotti Ward, or back in the old days, the Leija and Azuma Nelson, for some of you fight fans from way back when. I know both sides are ready. I also want to thank Canelo for accepting the fight. You know, he could have gone with a different opponent, if you will, or opponents. But he had the courage to step up and face another true Mexican and a guy that will go toe-to-toe with him, and I think that showed a lot of courage on his part. So thank you for not ducking us and giving us the opportunity. So like Richard said, come early. It's a great, great card, top to bottom, and we look forward to it. Thank you.
Now I'd like to acknowledge somebody who has been very instrumental in Alfredo's recent career and life, and she's not only very cute, she is very smart, she is very nice. I mean, if you would have to pick somebody to have on your side in the time of difficulty, I think it would be her. And a lot of you guys probably don't know her, but she is just an amazing woman, and that is Lucy Harrell. Can you please stand up, Lucy? See, I was right, she's cute, right? So now, I don't want to get in trouble, by the way, Alfredo, okay? Now we're going to move on to the trainer who got Alfredo physically and mentally in shape, and I think he does a terrific job in both of those aspects, and both of those aspects are extremely important. He is one of the best trainers in the sport, trains many other pound-for-pound stars and fighters, and really, I think, has done a remarkable job with Alfredo. I think Alfredo and Virgil have a very special bond as well, and it's a pleasure for me now to introduce to you Virgil Hunter.
Thank you for the introduction, Richard. Good to see everybody here, all the trainers and all the great fighters here on this podium and out in the audience there. It's going to be a remarkable night. I can sense that. You know, I've had a couple of weeks to reflect on this event that's coming up, and you know, I know the motto has been toe-to-toe, but I just have this feeling that I don't think both men gonna walk out the ring the same Saturday night. I just anticipate such a savage affair that it's gonna be taken out of my hands. It's gonna be taken out of Coach Reynosa's hands, and it's pretty much gonna be left up to them. I'm kind of asking the officials and the judges, just let them go, because I can just sense this storm coming. Just let them go. If Alfredo gets knocked down, let him get back up and go. If Canelo gets knocked down, let him get back up and go. It's going to be taken out of our hands. This is going to be a savage, savage affair. And I've been anticipating this for the last couple of weeks. I can just feel it. So I really don't know what else to say. It's kind of bothering me. At the same time, I hope that I can rise to the occasion and that my fighter will walk out of that ring intact with many more future fights, and also hoping that Team Canelo can do the same. But it's just something about this fight I really truly believe is going to exceed what we have probably never seen before. And I'll just leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you, Virgil, and I mentioned before with some of the fighters on the card, must-see TV, and I think Alfredo Angulo definitely fits in that category, must-see TV. Never involved in a boring fight, always exciting, always comes to give it his all. His fight against James Kirkland was one of the Fight of the Year candidates. And all of his fights are just always, you want to be there, you want to see it, and you want to cheer him on. In his last fight against Lara, people didn't give him much of a chance. And you saw what he did with Lara. He not only dropped him, he neutralized Lara's boxing skills, was ahead on the cards when the fight was stopped due to the eye injury. So just an amazing fighter. He's been waiting for this opportunity. I know he trained hard. I know he's ready, and he really wants it. It's a pleasure for me now to introduce to you El Perro Angulo.
Hi everybody. First of all, I speak in my language, and next he go try speak in English, okay? Muchas gracias a todos los medios por estar aquí presentes. Le doy las gracias a todos. Muchas gracias a Steven Espinosa, a Showtime por esta oportunidad tan grande, y a MGM, y a Richard Schaefer, a Oscar, a Golden Boy, a toda la gente que hizo posible esta pelea. Muchísimas gracias por tener esa confianza, de confiar y poner esa responsabilidad en mí. Y muchas gracias a toda la gente que trabaja para Golden Boy. No le puedo decir el nombre de todos porque nunca voy a acabar. Lo único que les digo es que el perro no es muy bueno para hablar. Está listo, ha hecho un gran trabajo para marzo 8, y creo yo que Canelo Alvarez y yo les vamos a regalar un bonito espectáculo, y yo los tengo mal impuestos a darles un gran show, y yo creo que el 8 de marzo no va a ser la excepción. First of all, thank you everybody for staying here. Thank you Showtime, Espinosa, MGM, Oscar de la Hoya, Schaefer, everybody. Thank you so much for keep on and responsibility and me, and thank you so much everybody working for Golden Boy. He's a lot of people. I don't remember all the names, but I really appreciate it. And I know that the dog he not speak too much. I'm working hard for this fight. He's ready for the March 8th, and I think so. Canelo Alvarez and Perro, he's ready for the March 8th, and he have a really good show for the fans. And he know everybody, the dog, he's all the time when he put my name in all the cards, he's a really good job. And March 8, I don't think so he's the exception. And thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you, Alfredo. Before I'm going to introduce Canelo, I'd like to introduce his team members as well. He has been with Chepo Reynoso very since the beginning, and really Chepo has molded, I think, Canelo in many ways to the fighter he is today. He's done it to many other fighters before. He's a terrific manager, very good strategist as well. Is a very clever guy and knows exactly what's going on and how to prepare his fighter. Any fighter who has Chepo as his advisor certainly has somebody who knows the ins and outs of the sport for a long time. It's a pleasure now for me to introduce to you José Chepo Reynoso.
Buenas tardes.
Good afternoon.
Bueno, muchas gracias por su presencia a todos ustedes. En el campamento del Canelo estamos listos.
Thank you all for your presence. In Canelo's camp, we're all ready.
Ya en estos momentos las palabras salen sobrando, ya lo que se diga o lo que se dijo, lo que se va a decir. Hay que esperar para el sábado. Lo que sí les puedo asegurar que el mundo va a ser testigo de un gran combate entre dos guerreros mexicanos, Canelo y el Perro.
At this moment, there's not really much more to say. Words don't mean anything. Both guys are ready to go, ready to fight. But I will say this, that on Saturday night, the world's going to know, or they're going to witness, a great war, a great battle between two great Mexican warriors, Canelo, and El Perro Angulo.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, we would like you to sing a song now, Chepo. Por favor. Next to Chepo is somebody who's been with Chepo all his life, his son Eddie. And Eddie gets him ready, gets Canelo ready. He is the man behind the man with the plan. And, he says that he came up with the right plan. So let me introduce to you now the trainer for Canelo Alvarez, Eddie Reynoso.
Buenas tardes a todos los aquí presentes. Pues, como siempre, hicimos 10 semanas de campamento.
Good afternoon. Thank you all for being here. Like always, we had 10 weeks of preparation for this fight.
Siempre son difíciles las concentraciones, se tiene uno que ir fuera de casa, de la familia, pero lo hacemos con gusto porque es nuestro trabajo.
You know, it's always difficult to go to camp and get ready for a fight because you have to be away from the family, loved ones, but it's part of our job, and we love it because it's our job.
Todo para dar hacer una gran preparación y dar una buena pelea como todas las peleas que hemos dado con Saúl.
But it's all part of the plan. It's all by design. You know, it's all to give a great fight, a great performance like we always have with Saúl.
Sabemos de la peligrosidad de Alfredo. Yo lo conozco desde que estaba en el Sedón. Un peleador, la verdad, muy fuerte, muy agresivo, que podrá ir perdiendo toda la pelea, pero con un solo golpe puede cambiar inclinar la balanza a su favor.
I'm well aware of Perro Angulo. I've known him for such a long time. I know that he's dangerous. He's the kind of fighter that with one punch, you can change everything.
Hicimos todo, como les digo, a conciencia y estamos listos para lo que traiga el perro. Si se quiere parar, nos vamos a parar. Si sale a lo que salga, nosotros traemos condición para 15 rounds y nosotros también tenemos pegada y les aseguramos que ese día, más que nada, va a ser una guerra entre dos mexicanos muy fuertes que dan todo arriba del ring y esperamos salir con la mano en alto.
With that said, we kept that in mind in our preparation for this fight. We're ready for him. We're ready to stand and fight and bang if he wants to, or we can box, whatever he wants to do, we're ready for it. You know, Canelo also has a punch, and he can also end things with one punch. And we're ready, and I think that on Saturday we're going to give everybody a great victory.
Pues es todo. Muchísimas gracias por su apoyo a Golden Boy, a Oscar, que siempre está al pendiente de nosotros, a Richard, a todo el equipo de Golden Boy, a la gente que nos ayuda también con Canelo Promotions. Y pues nada más, que Dios los bendiga a todos los que están incluidos en las peleas, que cuiden al perro, que cuide a Canelo, a todos los que están incluidos en la cartelera y pues que gane el mejor. Gracias.
And thank you. That's pretty much it. Thank you all again, once of all. And I want to thank Golden Boy, Oscar, Richard, everybody involved, Team Canelo Promotions for all their work. And may God hold both fighters in his, keep them safe. Sorry. Thanks.
Thank you, Eddie, and thank you, Eric, as well, for the translation. Now, when you talk about Canelo Alvarez, I've been here during this week, and you saw the huge turnout at the arrival. You saw the huge turnout yesterday at the media workout. We're going to have a sold-out MGM Grand Garden. There's a lot of great fighters. There's a lot of fighters in the ring who are as good as Canelo is, who know how to box, who know how to bang, who are exciting, but yet there are very, very, very few who have that extra something. And is it the red hair? I don't know. I don't think so. It certainly helps. But I think it is his charisma and how he connects to the people, how he talks to people, how they look out for him, how somehow people are drawn to him. And I felt that that's when he walks out of the ring, walks into the ring with his robe on and so on, it sort of gives you the chills. And the only other time I had that same feeling was when Oscar was walking out. And I think the way Oscar has connected to people is the way Canelo has connected to people. And of course, the fact that he can back it up in the ring and as Eddie just said, he has the knockout power. He can box and so on. And he's only 23 years young. So I think when I introduced to you Saul Canelo Alvarez, with a record of 42-1 with 30 knockouts from Guadalajara, Jalisco, Mexico, I'm not introducing to you just a fighter. I'm introducing to you in many ways the hope of the Mexican, of the Latinos, and many other nations in yes, I can rise above, and I can deliver, and I can excite. And he is, I think, for many years to come, going to be the face of boxing. It's a pleasure and an honor for me to introduce to you now Saul El Canelo Alvarez.
Bueno, quiero agradecerles a todos. Yo creo que ya hablar está de más. Ya tuve la oportunidad de estar con ustedes antier, ayer, todos los días. Ya no hay mucho que decir, solamente agradecerles todo el apoyo a toda la gente que hace posible esto.
Well, thank you. Thank you all for being here. I think I've said enough. I've been with a lot of you, a lot of the media people here 2 days ago, yesterday, today. I've talked, I've done many interviews. There's not too many more words to say. I'm ready to go.
Agradecido con todos ustedes, con toda la gente y pues reiterar, ¿no? Las peleas son de estilos y creo que el estilo del perro Angulo y mi estilo es para dar una guerra y estamos listos para eso.
And again, I'm very thankful for all of you, for all the support. And I've always said this, boxing is about styles. And I think that with his style and my style, it's going to be a war. We're going to give you guys a war.
Yo soy de los que digo que siempre las palabras salen sobrando y hay que esperar al 8 de marzo y que gane el mejor. Muchas gracias a todos.
And I've been the type of person that says, talk is cheap. So, we'll see what's going to happen on Saturday night. So thank you very much for being here, and we're ready to go. See you then.
Thank you all. Thanking all the participants up here. I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow at the weigh-in. Final weigh-in open to the public at the MGM Grand Garden. The doors open at 1 p.m. and the fighters are going to be on scale at 3 p.m. We're going to post the fighters now and then make them available for one-on-ones. Thank you very much.
Testing. Okay, let's do this. We have a lot of fighters on the stage, so if everybody can give us a minute to get organized. And anybody who is not a fighter, we're going to ask you to leave the stage at this time because we need the space to work. So the fighters stay on the stage, we'll instruct you.
All right, so the press conference is over. Of course, the fighters are going to have to stare down here, and as you hear them getting these guys together as they stare down against their opponent. You see Canelo there. Christian Mijares. And each guy will stare down against his respective opponent. This will be Canelo's, by the way, 5th fight here at the MGM Grand. There are only 2 fights here last year. You might remember Mayweather Guerrero and Mayweather Canelo. This will be the first time Alfredo Angulo, you see him there, has been on a pay-per-view big fight card. And you heard Virgil Hunter, the trainer for Alfredo, says he expects this fight to be savagery. Even Canelo says he expects it to be a war. Here they are, Canelo Alvarez, Alfredo Angulo. Next up will be Leo Santa Cruz. And of course, facing Christian Mijares. As all the guys will line up Take some pictures there for the respective media that have gathered here. All right, so the fighters are getting ready to leave, and joining us here in just a few moments will be the former super welterweight champion of the world, Canelo Alvarez. And here he is, joining me now is the former super welterweight champion of the world, Canelo Alvarez. Huge fight for you here. What does this fight mean to you, considering it's the first time you've come off a loss? So what does this fight mean to you?
Es una gran pelea, una pelea muy grande. ¿Qué significa para ti? Porque es primera vez que vienes de una pelea, de una derrota.
Bueno, significa mucho. Todas mis peleas para mí significan mucho, son muy importantes para mí. Y vengo muy entusiasmado, emocionado de estar arriba del cuadrilátero y solo espero ese momento.
All my fights mean a lot. All my fights mean a lot. This is a very special moment because I'm coming back. I'm very enthusiastic because of, returning to the ring, very motivated, and I just can't wait to get back into the ring on March 8th.
It's something special when you get two Mexican fighters in the ring, and I would assume the winner will probably be the most popular man in Mexico. How much does Mexican pride play into this bout?
Es muy especial cuando tienes dos peleadores mexicanos dentro de un ring. ¿Qué tanto significa? Porque el que gane pues va a ser el ídolo de México. ¿Qué tanto significa para ti el orgullo mexicano y que la gente te apoye?
No, significa mucho. Para mí en especial el orgullo es muy importante. Significa mucho y pues siempre que se para un mexicano en un cuadrilátero es garantía, ¿no? Imagínate dos arriba de un cuadrilátero peleando, pues es doble garantía. Así que me siento muy contento, emocionado y listo para esta gran pelea.
No, definitely. To me, pride is very important, and it's all about pride. But you got guarantee when you have one Mexican in the ring, you're guaranteed a spectacular. Now imagine two, so that's double guarantee that you're going to get a great fight. And I'm ready. I'm very, very motivated, very excited, and ready to give the win.
You took the words right out of my mouth. Are you ready?
Yes, I was born ready.
There he is, Canelo Alvarez. Thank you, appreciate it. So as you heard it, he says it's going to be spectacular Saturday night when he faces off against Alfredo Angulo, and he says he is definitely ready. The gentleman he's going to be facing, well, they call him El Perro. They call him the dog. Alfredo Angulo joins me now. You're known as the dog, but a lot of people have you as the underdog. Does that bother you at this fight?
Bueno, eres el perro, pero obviamente esta pelea no eres el favorito en esta pelea. ¿Qué piensas de eso?
I don't care. Only in the ring I say Canelo and me. That's it.
He just talked about it. It's very special when you have two Mexican fighters and that pride that it will have winning this fight. How much does the Mexican pride have for you? Because I guess whoever wins is probably going to be the most popular man in Mexico.
I think so, for sure. He's why he's a very important fight. A lot of people in Mexico, know Canelo Alvarez, and a lot of people, know the dog. But I think so. Never eating in the head, he fighting ball. But finally, he's the fight. He ready for March 8th, and the Mexican, he look who's the best fighter, Mexican fighter, Canelo Alvarez or El Perro.
Lastly, what should we expect Saturday? It seems from his team, they said they picked you because they feel like you were easier to hit, you won't be moving around. They're one of the reasons why they picked you. What should we expect Saturday night?
I don't care. Whatever you say, speak, I don't care. The March 8th, you look the dog in the ring, and you ask enough after the win. You asking me again.
There you go. So Alfredo Angulo says he's going to win it. Appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
No problem. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Again, what a day it's been here on this press conference. You heard Canelo Alvarez says this fight's going to be spectacular. You hear Alfredo Angulo just said he's going to be victorious. And Show Sports Press Pass Live is going to be with you every step of the way. We're going to be covering all the events that take place this weekend. And in fact, our coverage continues tomorrow afternoon. You want to be here. We'll be back at the MGM Grand for the weigh-in for Canelo Angulo. All of the fighters will be on the scale at the MGM Grand Garden Arena. You got a front row seat here. Be here, 6 o'clock Eastern, 3 o'clock Pacific. Canelo versus Angulo. It's the weigh-in, and I'll be joined by my Showtime partner, the Magic Man himself, Paulie Malignaggi. And of course, Saturday night, folks, you do not want to miss it. Saturday, 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific time. Countdown live to Canelo and Angulo. 60 minutes of intense interviews, features, behind-the-scenes look at both of the camps as they go through training camp, all for preparation for this huge fight pay-per-view on Showtime Saturday night. You want to watch that. And of course, you can always join in on the conversation. Get on Twitter. Just use the hashtag Canelo Angulo. And for all of the very latest updates, you can go to sports.show.com. What a day it has been here inside the Hollywood Theater at the MGM Grand. I'm Brian Custer. Thank you so much for watching Show Sports Press Pass Live. I'll see you again tomorrow for the weigh-in.
Canelo is back.
Canelo Alvarez swarming.
Powerhouse superstars Canelo Alvarez and Alfredo Angulo engage in the battle of a lifetime.
And they are exchanging leather in the center of the ring.
In this match, there's only one way to fight. Toe.
Ripping the body.
Two.
Right hand connects.
Toe.
And there is Canelo with a straight right.
Canelo Angulo. Saturday, March 8th. Live on pay-per-view.
I'm coming home, I'm coming home. Tell the world I'm coming.
Puerto Rico. I'm back where I belong. Yeah, I never felt so.
I'm 100% Puerto Rican. That's the blood that runs through my veins. I think it's very important for me to solidify that I'm a true Puerto Rican champion.